Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks, and sorry to see you have to go there, Z. Excuse me. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and this week is going to be John Wick week. Yeah. Now we are a it's live, hosted, commented show podcast where we're going to take John Wick and the Continental and the popularity of the series, which I absolutely love, and we're going to take it and break it down for our use for tabletop role playing games. So, good morning, good morning, there, the End King, and everyone else who can participate in this show, especially if you're in the States at a god awful time in the morning, but would love to have you be part of the game. Yeah, I remember the game Feng Shui there, Mr. The N Mr. Mrs. The N King. I have uh the Feng Shui role playing game back from its original status in the late 90s, I think it was, something like that. But so allow me to give you my dissertation first, present my analyses, and we're going to talk about this Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and probably Friday as well. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. I would like to book a room. Yeah, yeah. The late great Lance Reddick passed away during the um, not during, but as the fourth film was released. Great actor, very charismatic and such. And we're going to talk about the Continental and especially the coin. So, um, what sparked my imagination? Of course, I've seen the fourth movie. Um, Beware of spoilers, although I will try not to spoil the fourth movie. But it you kind of know what the plot is. Okay, it's pretty simple. It's just how you get there that can be a little bit complicated. But allow me to present to you my thought process, and then what we're going to do and take apart for our tabletop role playing game experience. All right, so back in the OSR, and I'm a person of a certain age that remembers something called Electrum Pieces, and mind you, this is not something brand new. I remember hearing this, and I swear, again, this is from Dale Kingsmill's channel, but I can't be certain. But I once heard in, an individual talking on their show about Electrum Pieces representing criminality. Now, for those who don't know, Electrum Pieces were from, um, I believe they faded out of context during the 3 or 3.5 era of Dungeons and Dragons. I know it was there for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons or like second edition, and over time it faded away. And part of the reason why Electrum Pieces didn't quite fit from its inception didn't quite fit into the gold, silver, copper monetary denomination is because it had a it had a divergent mathematical formula to it. It only it was half the value of gold, where a unit of 10 was used to describe the gold, silver, copper denominations. You know, 10 copper for silver, 10 silver for gold. So it was easy to do the math. And then when you had this odd monetary thing that's like half, then how do you do half? And it was just, it wasn't hard. It was just a left turn from the norm. So Electrum started to fade away. And some as it was described in real life, like Electrum was like a combination of like a mix of silver and gold and whatnot. Yeah, Dead Man says Electrum is an alloy of silver and gold, roughly 30 to 40% gold to 70 to 60% silver. And yeah, as true as that is in real life, not exactly easy to blend into a fantasy realm when everything is trying to do multiples of 10 or divisible by 10, and then you have this half version. Yeah. Yeah. The End King says, yeah, modern D&D kept the 10-foot poles but ditched Electrum, which I think is a shame. So one of the modes of thinking that was given to me by someone, and this was years ago, but it just came back again after watching the fourth movie, was that using Electrum as a means for criminality, that criminals would use Electrum and regular society would not. So if someone passed you or paid you or decided to use Electrum in a form of monetary exchange meant that either they were a criminal, they are conducting criminal business with another individual, and it was a very easy way to give across, hey, I'm paying you, but I'm also paying you with something else, which this OSR mechanism, Electrum Pieces, and from the OSR comes into John Wick. The question has been made, and I think erroneously made by a lot of people when they ask, what is the value of a gold coin in this world? Like, what is its worth? And the thing is, and this is described by the directors, Stalinsky, and I cannot remember the other individual's name. I apologize for that. But they said the gold individuals are asking the wrong question. So when you ask how much is a gold coin in the world of John Wick, you're thinking of it as an economy that has a value to it. And instead, they in their minds, in their notes, gold coins are not a value. They are calling cards. They are an exchange of friendship and trust and honor and um, professionalism. So a gold coin in this world, they still pay for things, which is why um, 99% of the bad guys had exchanges in money in the John Wick universe. You never heard them talking about exchanging gold coins. But whenever John Wick used a gold coin, the value of the coin is related to the individual who gives across that coin, not the value of the gold itself. The gold coins were used as a form of like a thank you, and which meant that, and it also kept this dangerous society of killers in line, and this is spoken by the directors themselves. It keeps these individuals in line because only individuals that could be trusted to do their job, that could be trusted to walk around modern society and to deal with each other, could acquire these gold coins, and then they would give them in exchange to other people for different things. And it was an unspoken word. Like, for example, in the movie, John Wick slides a gold coin across to a bartender. He wasn't just paying for drinks. What he was doing is telling the bartender, listen, keep the drinks flowing, but stay out of our business. And also for doing such a thing that's inconvenient for you, here's a gold coin. And that bartender looks at John Wick, who's a notorious and trusted assassin, is like, I'll take the gold coin and the thing, whatever you need, I'm here for it. Right. That's what that was about. And I think we can use that for our tabletop role playing games. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm going to what you guys have to say. Um, mm, mm. Mike Gould says, Electrum could be a monetary link to the criminal underground, but to make it more common, require all gold costs for spell components to be paid in Electrum. Therefore, you create doubt in in the mind. Why would we want to do that? Doubt in the mind of the viewer. Is this exchange to support crime, or is it for magical purposes? I like having that question because it would instantly make magical use and having to pay for it a bit illicit, and might put a question in the mind of the individuals who are dealing with practitioners of magic to go, am I supporting something criminal? Even if that magical individual is doing something for a good reason, they might have to use something illicit to do it. And again, the idea that the Electrum is this offside kilter illegal, and remember, the we don't have to accept that Electrum is used by a criminal underground. It could just be considered illegal by the ruling class. So for in like a totalitarian regime or dictatorship, Electrum might have been created to undermine the economy, and they're just like, and then it just immediately was like, Electrum's illegal. No, you cannot have this, right? Or it maybe Electrum is used because it's a mix of silver and gold as a very easy method to like transfer wealth. Like, listen, here's some Electrum. It's a combination of silver and gold. Just take that and use it for to pay for things. And then the government may say, nah, you can't do that. Like in real life, governments don't want to see and consider other forms of economy illegal. The End King says so. Uh, did I miss something here? So Electrum in this context almost feels like bonds or casino chips, worth something, but one group is still in control when you go to cash it in. Kind of, kind of. So the way I understand what they mean by it is, if you were to, and here's an example. In a John Wick movie, John Wick gets hurt, he gets attacked, and he needs to go to a doctor for help, and he gives the doctor these gold coins in the movie, and the gold coin is like, I need your help to heal, but I'm also offering you this olive branch. It's like, you are a professional doctor, I respect you, and here's a gold coin. That way, that doctor could then go in this underworld, this criminal underworld, to say, go in the back door of a hospital to get um, you know drugs that are listed by excuse me, that are used for highly regulated drugs and things like that, to use for the underworld. And if he passes someone this gold coin out the back door, they're like, "Oh, you giving me a gold coin? You trust me? I trust you not to say anything either." And so it's a non-verbal method of like a bond, like a calling card, a thank you, a form of respect in this world. It doesn't have monetary value. In this world, people still have to pay for things with money. If you notice in the John Wick movies, all the bad guys talk about money. $2 million, $17 million, $20 million to kill this guy. They never talk about exchanging gold coins. Gold coins are in the purview of the respected. Um, if someone were to Very few of the bad guys, I believe, even used or even talked about gold coins, because a lot of them didn't have that much honor and respect, so they wouldn't earn the gold coins to then spend them. So in our context of using Electrum in fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons, of course, we're using that as a basis here. Would be, if someone asks you a question, let's say a security guard, or we have a classic city states with guards, and you ask the guard, "Hey, could you let my friends in?" And they say, "Well, there's a toll." And you pull out some Electrum pieces and put them into this person's hands and go, "No, I understand. I'll pay the toll." And they look down and go, "That's Electrum." Then they understand, you're probably going to be doing things that are outside the rules in a society, but that this individual isn't going to cause undue harm, distractions, destruction, that kind of thing. And they're trusting you with these Electrum pieces, that you, of course, aren't going to say anything, and they're not going to say that you took it. Right? It's also that kind of exception, like where it's kind of a contract between us both. Like, I'll never say that this happened between us, and you promise with your acceptance not to do the same thing either. It's kind of cool. Mike says, perhaps certain services only accept Electrum. Linking to your medical service, what if this exchange is either medicine or poison too? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certain kinds of medications, poisons, information about everyone thinks the ruling class are immortals, but you go to a sage and hand over some Electrum pieces, and the sage looks around and is like, "I've got documentation that proves they're vampires." And you're like, "Ooh, they're really?" And no one else says it, but you pass some Electrum pieces. Now, here's the other thing: you pass an Electrum piece over to the wrong person, and they either may not understand what you're referring to, like, what is this coinage? Um, they may think you're trying to like deceive them, like, "Hey, this isn't real gold," or they may look at it and go, "No, no, no, thank you. I don't want any parts of this." So you might need to know who you're dealing with first before you even start passing along the Electrum itself. Mike says, perhaps insert a culture that trades in Electrum too. Yeah, the Hobgoblin Nation have a currency that's 100% Electrum. So now law enforcement has to consider multiple options. Yep. The idea that a culture or a people use this kind of currency is an easy way for governments um, to de- decipher whether you are for or against a particular group of people, which is another way of using money to manipulate and control the population as well. Like, hey, if you start dealing in Electrum, that means you're for the enemy. You're not for us, or something like that. Yep. Uh, Mike says, is this the Thieves Guild? Is this the Assassin's Guild? Is this the Wizard College? Is this medicinal? Is this the Hobgoblin Nation? So now you have the added feature of making the location where the coins are minted to confound the issue. Yeah, like who mints them? I think in the third John Wick movie, they actually go to the haven of one of these individuals that actually mint where the gold coins are minted, so they are in limited resource as well. So yeah, and again, the, there isn't a I mean, within the John Wick universe, there isn't a value to it. It's not like you can pick up a coin and tell how much money it is. Yes, the gold has a value, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is someone has one, and when it's given to you by someone, like for example, it seems like electrostatic dust. When an NPC that the PCs may not trust has or slides across one of these Electrum pieces, that might be a kind of like parlay. Like, look, I know we don't like each other, but I'm going to trust that we can both be civil, and that may be a way in this world where different factions, especially factions made up of like the sentient bad guys of the world, undead like vampires and such, liches, the aberrant creatures, all kinds of monsters, giants or whatever. Maybe this is their method of saying like um, it is it is the unwritten code that everyone abides by. That if you were to have this interaction, we're not going to kill each other. We're going to sit down and talk first before we get into drawing blades and steel and casting magic or something like that. The End King says, talking about vampires, Electrum, excuse me, Electrum could be favored in certain supernatural communities as it prevents silver from being a possible weapon against them. Ooh, yeah. And I always thought of like gold being a high classed um, monetary value, platinum, of course, above gold, used for to pay for large size governmental things like armies and things, but gold is like high class, silver middle class, merchant working class, and copper being a little lower class, and um, the bottom end of middle class and the lower class people. So yeah, Mike says, riffing on your idea, presentation of a coin might initiate negotiations between rival guilds. Absolutely. And in the world of John Wick, because we're going to talk since Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably even Friday, we're going to talk about this. There are different like families, and the high table is like the 12 most powerful criminal organizations, and there's even individuals that represent the different levels of this criminal underworld, and the allusions to not just a criminal underworld, but um, a Greek or Roman Olympus godlike underworld where you go to into the nine hells and Tartarus and such, and you have to pass by, go down the river Styx, to pass by and use the coins to pay the ferryman to go someplace. There's a lot of allusions to that in the John Wick universe, and the same could be done here as well. I mean, they throw around lots of comments like markers, the adjudicator, the harbinger, passing over. There's a John Wick even uses a cross to pay for his passage to go further deeper into the underworld, and to be, there's excommunication and all this, excommunicado and all this kind of business. And I think a lot of that actually fits quite neatly into tabletop role playing games. But we're going to talk about the coinage and the exchange rate as well. Yet talking about having rival guilds communicate with each other, players may even need to, if you're talking about an underworld or a world in which there are no good guys, but there's just a lot of bad guys dealing with each other. The players, and this could be used as a method to curtail thievery, deception, and violence in an air quote evil campaign, where the players may need to deal with a corrupt hag and um, her children, in one place, where they also have to deal with vampires, and the vampires spawn, and the undead that deal in another, guild of sorts. And human beings may aspire to become part of these guilds, or be uh, raised up and brought into these guilds, and the players can navigate in this world where you're not going to be victim to the vampire gangs or whatever if you present to them a coin, or you need the vampire gang's favor to hide out because you're being hunted by the beastmasters or something that ravaged the town. This would absolutely fit into the guild mass is it the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica? I don't remember the name of it. But it's the Magic the Gathering setting with a book created for fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons, that is an entire plane of existence that is one giant medieval aside city. The entire plane of existence is one big city. And this might be a method of how the different guilds operate with these coins. And mind you, a lot of the coins don't need to be exchanged. It could be a coin for coin issue. Like, you want us to look aside from your activities and we control the guards? Where's a coin? Right? Like, it's the bribery for bribery's sake, or it could be a promissory note. Like, I'll slide across a coin, which is might be saying to the city guard, like, please look the other way, because in the future I'm gonna pay you back, but take the coin as collateral of sorts, right? Which also means that whoever you give the gold coins to, can also gain favor or respect from somebody else. Now, in the John Wick universe, the coins were primarily used as a um, civilized society exchange method. It wasn't. It was used by bad people, but it wasn't used for um, extremely decadent reasons. Yes, John Wick paid, he said, dinner reservation for 12 and handed over 12 coins because he had those dead bodies in his home. Yes, that's a little problematic. But at the same time, that individual knew John Wick and was like, oh, okay, I get it, buddy. Yeah, don't worry about it. When you leave, we'll make sure this place is spotless. We'll fix everything. Your home will be like it used to be. Yep. Yep, bribes in Electrum. How to spot corrupt cops. Yeah, yeah. Hey, PCs find someone and they spill their ill-gotten gains on the ground, and they find out that they have Electrum pieces. Maybe in a weird way, they know they can trust this person, even though they're criminal. It's kind of a weird. It's like the opposite of people living in a civilized society finding out someone's committing crimes. It's the opposite. It's criminals finding out, oh, I can trust this person and give them secrets or trade with them or know that they're not going to say anything because they have these things. So yeah, yeah, quite the opposite. The police are like, "What's in your pockets?" And they pull out the electrum, and they find the electrum, and they're like, "You know what?" As they twirl a coin in their fingertips, we we don't have to be here. Although John Wick didn't pay the cop when he's like, "Hey John, hey Jimmy, hey John, you still working?" Nah, Jimmy, I'm handling a few things, right? He's like, "Okay, um, just wondered. Hey, have a good evening. Hey, you too, Jimmy. Right?" The Yankee says, "Imagine the party rogue robbing the local mayor blind and discovering a hidden chest filled with electrum." Yeah, yeah, exactly. And King's like, "I think we're each going there, right?" They're like, "Oh, the mayor's evil and robbing the population. We don't like this guy. Let's rob this person." And then they take the electrum and they're like, "Ooh, he's probably got friends in high places." And oh, I didn't realize the mayor could be trusted as a underworld figure, right? And I like the idea of not knowing. Like, there's this flow of the electrum gives a flow of information. It changes the context of the social interaction. Do you put everything back? Do you apologize to the mayor and go, sorry about that? Does the mayor then try to, call in a marker or something like that? Like, hey, I got robbed by these guys, and they um ignored the context of even seeing the Electrum, which means that the mayor might have a lot of powerful individuals in high places. This could also lead to low level party members finding out that average NPCs are actually dealing with people at in higher levels of rank and ability and power within your fantasy realm. Like if vampires pay their underlings in Electrum and commoners are walking around with a couple of Electrum pieces, that might tell them, ooh, they've got, are they dealing with hags or fiends or vampires or the Wizards Council or something? Ooh, what are they dealing with? Yeah. Mike says, imagine a rivalry between a continental type assassins guild. Let's call them the Chimera, okay, and a smugglers guild like Transporter. Call them the Karen or Charon. Now have a missing person mystery for the PCs. Yeah, yeah, yep. The target's dead. The Chimera or hiding in a box in a cart. Karen and on the run. I like that because like in John Wick, if you have different factions, maybe they control not just the flow of information, but maybe they control a specific element of society, like like um, easy and safe and unrobbed transportation across this realm is controlled by the Karens, right? And you pay them in Electrum. You pay them in Electrum, you don't have to worry about your goods being stolen, right? These are the people who are never get robbed on the road. They Everyone's like, why are they the safe ones? But if you know to pay them, and first you have to know to pay them. Then you have to know what how to pay them in Electrum. Then you need to know who to pay, and then understand that you are using an illicit coinage, and if they will accept it in the first place, and then if they trust you to when you pay them. Like for example, a criminal that just steals the gold coins, remember it's according to the movie, it's reputation based. So just a pickpocket that spends Electrum isn't the same thing as an individual going, I'm handing this over to you. Trust me because I trust you, right? Yeah. The Ed King's like, yeah, John paid that cop with his life. Paid Jimmy with his life and paid, what was it, Francis? Remember the like 6.5 foot to 7 foot tall bouncer outside the club where John Wick put the gun in the back of his head and was just like, hey, Francis. And he's like, Mr. Wick, how are you this evening? I see. Are you working? Yeah, Francis. Hey, how about you take the day off? And he's like, he's got his brown pants on, like, thank you, Mr. Wick. And he leaves, right? So yeah, he did kind of pay him like, didn't give him a coin, was pretty much like, I'm on a mission. You might want to go home and he didn't return at all, didn't make a phone call, didn't text a message. He got home and got in a cold shower, held his knees together, and started rocking back and forth, crying. That's what he did. That's what he did. He hugged his loved ones and with a single. He was one of those single tear people, as in from Whiplash. Are you one of these single tear people? Oh man, it would be kind of cool to have a mission, like you said. The target's dead if they were from the Chimera guild, or hiding in a box cart like from the Karen guild and on the run, and the PCs may need to find this person, or um, classic a lawful city. They put up posters. Hey, criminals on the run. PCs go after the criminals, and when they find the criminals hand them a Electrum coin, and it's like, it's not what you think. We need your help. And the PCs are like, wait, what? We thought you were just some bastards, but now you find out like, oh, maybe the city doesn't understand what's going on, and the players are pulled into this underground where it's like, yeah, on the surface, it is true that they were robbing or stealing or even, performing assassinations, a la, um, um, what's the video game series? Assassin's Creed, right? Where in Assassin's Creed, you play the protagonist. Well, in most of the games, where you are, remembering that you were an assassin, in these different time periods, but you're the good guy. And the players might end up finding out, like, ooh, we're getting pulled into this criminal underground, but maybe some of them are actually doing it for a good reason, or at least hiding out in the underground to perform a good deed, which would be kind of cool. I, Now that is a good question. Where the End King says, if you make too much Electrum, are you depleting silver and gold currency? Funny thing, in fantasy gaming, we really don't go into who mints the coins, right? Like, I've never heard of an adventure where someone actually delves into where, like, the physical minting of the coins. Usually they are ancient, like the coins have already existed. Because if you think about it, like, dragons sitting on enough gold to make it comfortable for them to sit on in the first place is a little bit uh redonkulous, right? Like, where'd the gold come from? Who who created all this stuff, and are they depleting the economy? So I guess if you made enough Electrum, you're stealing gold and silver out of the economy, which in and of itself could be a thread that thread could actually lead to other things. Like, um so I would say to you, like, what if the gold and silver depletion is not just done on purpose, but it's like a call to arms. It's like, we're the new sheriffs in town, and we're the new regime in town, and it we're the new monetary currency in town, and we're not just going to do go to war with you physically. We're going to hurt your economy. We're going to kill it. And if you're sticking with the old gold and silver, you're old school. You're not changing with the times. You got to come with us. Yeah, I mean, a whole city state could be literally controlled by criminals, and maybe the people that live there like it that way. Like, it might not be the nicest place, but hey, you want things done, you want justice. It's street justice in this place, and they love using the Electrum. If you want to use it like real money, as opposed to, in the John Wick universe, it was a it's more a symbol of a code of living rather than actually paying for a specific service. The Enking says, I know this would annoy players, but I want to make a setting that's moving to paper money. Okay. So finding pirate gold in some ruin doesn't just add to your wealth. Yeah. But also, what if this is a strange thing to say, but what if you do have some sort of, like, banking exchange rate, and Electrum is like a promissory note. Like, if you show someone Electrum, it proves to them that you have a ton of wealth and gold somewhere else. That might be kind of interesting. The Ant King says, that sounds like a mixture between a mafia state and a company town. Yeah, company towns, complete with them controlling currency that is only good in their own town. Yeah, for those who don't know, and I'm sure this has been done around the world, but here in the United States, um, one of a number of resource extractions that were done very early in the settling of the United States, and I think this was done up until the very late 1900s, like 1960s, 70s, and 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So, I know I'm diverging a little bit, but company towns, especially with mining, what would happen is, um, a company would go in and they would start a mine. They would mine whatever resource down there: silver, gold, coal, whatever. They'd start a mine, and people would move there to live, to earn some money. In the company town, they would offer a different currency than what the nation was offering. So um, you would earn, like, chips, or it would be called a different currency, and you would earn company dollars to pay for things: equipment, housing, food, maybe some transportation, some entertainment, light entertainment on the side. The problem was, the company was making money with real currency, with the extraction of the resources and trading that. But the people in the company town were never being able, you could never attain wealth because you could never spend that money outside the company town, and it would control you. So Electrum, or any kind of value in this world, could be used to control a population that could never leave. You could never spend that money outside the company town because it was worthless. It was just, you were just earning monopoly money essentially, except in the town. And of course, the company town had absolute control over the financial value of the company dollar. So one day a company dollar could buy a candy bar. The next day, the company dollar, it costs three company dollars to buy that same candy bar. They could control the economy in that. And sometimes the company would make things seem like they were cheaper than they were, knowing that it didn't matter. It kept you working, and it kept you there. You could never move out, which is kind of strange. But yeah, company towns were a thing, and I think for a large majority of them, governments came in and tried to break them up. Although we do still have company town type economies around. We have reputation economy. That's a real thing. In our real world, we also have, Bitcoin, NFT style uh, transfer of wealth, in a different kind of way. We do have a stock market where we exchange the value of goods and services that doesn't exist until it's translated back into a real currency, which could be problematic, especially if like player characters are in a world where the value of what they are trying to exchange changes when they get it back. It's kind of different. Yeah, Mike Gould says, so a dragon with Electrum in its hoard, is it the head of a criminal organization, a wizard college, or did it kill either one? Yeah, yeah. Hey, follow the Electrum. That might be a real thing. Follow the Electrum where they have it. Now, there's no way a dragon would be fooled. A dragon could very easily go, I don't care, it's valuable, I'm just going to keep it. Or, like you said, the dragon could be the head of a criminal organization. Like, no, I created this to keep control of them. That's why I did it, because I'm smart and I've been alive for a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand years. I know how this works. And the easiest way to control the population is to control the money and control the value. And like maybe they're a whole maybe they're uh the dragons are basically, the dragon itself is like an accountant. Like, nah, I'm counting my gold and silver in my Electrum over here. I know how this works. Yeah, or maybe the destroyed wizard's tower that the PCs go when they're lower level, you end up finding out that their wealth was taken, and everyone knows, the very few people in the town are like, they've got these like rare Electrum pieces because the wizards used to protect them and stuff. Yeah, Mike says, yep. Yeah, the company Dollar Town was a real thing in older mining towns. Oh yeah, here in, I'm pretty sure it covered most of North America. Bef- before borders were strict, like in Canada and here in the United States and down in Mexico. Yeah, and like I said, I'm sure this kind of thing existed from around the world. Probably, I bet if we look it up, I bet some of that stuff still exists even till today. Technically, in a way it does, because we've got human trafficking. So, and they're like, in order to give you back your passport and your freedom, you've got to work off your debt. And you're going, yeah, but how much is that debt? Because I'll probably never be able to work it off, right? um, so I think that it kind of fits into that. The End King says the idea of a crime guild acting as a miniature company town is interesting to me. Yeah, giving their agents Electrum and threatening to report them for carrying it if they ever try to quit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it's it's kind of how the mob worked, right? Where it was carrots and sticks. We all know what the stick is like, right? Getting your kneecaps broken, being murdered in a dark alley somewhere, and never, being tortured in a warehouse or something. But the carrot, mob style, mafia style, was always, here, I'm giving you a gift. don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? Like, hey, I'm here to give you this valuable coinage that you can spend, and it opens up doors for you. All I, don't worry about it. I'll come back to you and ask of you a favor, right? And your average, what's a good stable, let's go with something fantasy, stable hands. They have, they even have exotic animals in the stables. They don't just have horses and elephants and camels or something like that. They've got like griffins and hippogriffs and giant eagles or something in their stables. And the criminal organization comes up to the stable hands and it's like, hi, how much to rent your, to rent your animals? And the stable hand is like, what the older stable hand with the gray beard is like, oh no. And the young kids are like, hey, sure, it's only 3 gold pieces a day. And they're like, we'll pay you something. We'll give you 10 electrum, just to rent some of your fine animals here. And the gray beard is like, we don't want your money. And the young guy's like, why don't we want their money? Here, we'll pay you an electrum. I understand. Here's 10. No, you know what? Here's 15 electrum. Um, keep the change. We'll be back. We'll rent some of these, but we'll be back. And basically, it's like, yeah, you either take our gift, you either take the carrot, or you're going to get the stick, right? And the gray beard is like holding these electric pieces in their hand, like oh no. And when the player characters come by to rent an animal, they're like, oh no, the good ones are gone. Or the player characters are standing there when the criminals walk in and are given first dibs, right? Like that's, hey, there's the restaurant's full, there's no tables until the mob comes in and they go and they slip an electrum coin and they kick somebody out of the table to put a table right in the front where the entertainment is, right? That's uh I, I would absolutely have the behavior of individuals related to the exchange of these coins, either if you want to make it good or bad, right? um Mike says, "Yeah, you pay for horses and silver, but give one a few electrum, and they take you to the other stable where hippogriffs are available." Yeah, that again, this may be the key. Remember, we've talked about like complicating the lives of player characters and saying like, "Hey, let's make it a little bit more dynamic by them having to find a key to get in through the locked door." And this might be the key to get through the locked door. It's a little more social, but you go to the stable hand and pay them in silver, whatever. You pay them in electrum, and they look around like, oh, okay. Oh, like they give you the eye, and the players may not even understand what they're doing when they do that, but the stable hand knows and goes, okay, thank you. Looks around, pulls out the special keys, or moves takes them to the other side where they move the hay aside and lifts up a hatch and takes you underground, or opens up a door, or leads you to a spiral staircase that takes you up into the third floor, or whatever. I don't know, whatever the case may be, right? Or they have a special whistle and they blow the silver whistle, and you don't hear anything, but all of a sudden you see the sun gets blotted out, and circling overhead are these black crow-like things, but as they circle closer, they're huge, and when they land, they're big enough to carry at least three human-sized, fully encumbered human beings on their backs, including saddles or something, right? Like that would be an interesting thing where it opens up doors. And mechanically speaking, what a great way to use this coinage, this thing that lubricates society, that unlocks another layer of conflict and challenge in your world. So tier 1, usually level 1 through 4 in Dungeons and Dragons, is one level, but when they find these coins, it's able to rise them up to a tier 2 kind of conflict with enemies and allies and things like that, right? Like the player characters know there's flying mounts, but they never really get to see them or ride them until they get these Electrum Pieces when they turn 5th level. And then it's like, oh, that's how we fly to distant lands and get to the upper reaches of the world and whatnot. Mike says, riffing on a past idea, the Thieves Guild that employed giant owls for assassination. I was just thinking about that too. Giant owls for assassination might run into conflict with an Assassin's Guild. pay the night owls an Electrum, and you can have an owl target. Ooh, I'll target someone. That's kind of cool, right? Like, hey, sure, you could pay someone in silver or gold to an assassin in a dark alley with a knife. But if you really want, like, if you really need their services, the night owls are there. Yeah, yeah. Direct competition to the Assassin's Guild. Now you have true conflict and a mob war. And wow, what kind of resources could they use for a mob war? Yeah. Mike says unlocking content is a game concept that can truly give Electrum value. Yeah, like if someone is watching this live stream and they're thinking like I don't know how I would fit it in. It could literally unlock new content, and what a great way to like basically keep using your old content but just add another layer on top of it. Because for example, in high social settings in most role-playing games, I'm talking about like a Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. I'm talking about like city states where PCs are navigating urban or mainly or mostly urban regions. It can be a little difficult to start layering in more powerful enemies, because having these powerful entities walk around cities is a little, it can break the verisimilitude, right? Like there's no particular reason why a Baylor or a Pit Fiend would be in a urban city, right? Like if one of them exists, there's going to be a lot of other things happening. But maybe these Electrum pieces are. There's a reason why these powerful entities have zero interaction with normal folks. It's because normal folks, they kind of like a Baylor or a Pit Fiend. I'm picking this monster because it's very strange, right? But what are some others like a lich or a vampire queen or something like that? Human people tier one, and they just ignore them. They don't even have any interaction with them at all. But these Electrum pieces opens the door. It means, oh, these other powerful entities, now I've got to pay attention to these individuals for good or bad. Maybe a sphinx can give great secrets to the rest of the universe, but they'll never do it unless you pass over an Electrum piece to find out the dark tent in the bazaar where the sphinx lays there and tells people their futures like an oracle or something. But you would never find this person until you passed over an Electrum piece. So yeah. Mike says, so you have a crime triangle: night owls, Karen, Chimera, with law enforcement struggling to deal with all three, and I'm sorry, an open mob war potentially laying a city to waste. Insert PCs and chaos begins. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And and listen, in the beginning, they might be getting clues that don't relate to each other. Like you tell them about, just as the sun goes down, these owls flying overhead, and they're like, well, "What's that about?" And they're like, no, they're just owls, just going about their business." And the PCs are like, I don't know. You told me about them, Game Master. There must be something going on." And then the crossing over, paying Karen, right? Like maybe when there's an organization, maybe there's a group of ghouls. I'm going to throw in another thing. A group of ghouls collect the dead in the streets, and the coins placed on the eyes pay to have those bodies removed. If it's silver, they just get rid of the dead bodies. But if it's Electrum, they know that you want to be taken into the quote unquote underworld, that maybe there's deep sewers and systems in a whole society underneath the city. And like the Karens are made up of people who are face changers. They hide in the shadows, but they also pretend to be average individuals. They're bakers, and they are stable hands, and they are um, herbalists and entertainers, but they also are pretending to be other people. But beneath that, with the Electrum, you actually find, you know, spellcasters that change their facial features to be different people, and real doppelgangers in there, and maybe even mimic pets or something like that, right? Like you could go deeper and deeper, and what a great way to, in a using uh terminology within our gaming system. Maybe certain interactions are gated behind the spending of this of these coins. And if PCs only have one, two, or three of these coins, it's not how much the Electrum is truly worth in gold and silver. It's what it can do for you. And so when they expend it like when they expend it like spending inspiration, they only have a limited number of them. So as a whole group, they might only have three or four Electrum pieces to open up a door, and someone might be like, rubbing their palm, like, you didn't pay me. The Ant King says you could do creepy stuff too. Throw an Electrum piece into an old well at midnight, and you meet the wailing woman or whoever. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. And that, how do I say that? That could put the onus on the players for causing their own harm and downfall, while at the same time, like, the only way to get to the treasure or the open door or the portal at the bottom of the well is to summon the wailing woman that comes up by only throwing an Electrum piece, right? Like, one causes another to somehow excise or defeat or supplant the wailing woman, to then solve that problem, to then get into the well itself. Or the PCs could just be like, we're not going to deal with the wailing woman at all, we're just going to run down in there, although she could just follow you back. Or maybe the wailing woman is released on the surface population, but the PCs know it or don't know it. Anyway, Mike says, back to the wizard college. Okay. Electrum is the precious material required to summon fiends. Electrum began as the currency of hell. They invented the Electrum in exchange for illicit services. Ooh. Oh yeah, especially if the coins are like, if you describe the coins and there's like an image on it, like a classic devil's face on one side and a classic um 3-point trident on the other side, and they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe someone just stamped that in there. No, 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 no. Yeah. Yeah, assassins and thieves copied this behavior. That makes a lot of sense too. Maybe it's a whole adventure just to get one coin, but to go down into the hells and actually speak with the fiends, you need like 10 of them, right? And so you got to go, like, you've completed 9 out of like another ongoing 15 games, and you've only acquired 9 of them, and the PCs are like, finally, we're going to get 10. But then they have to weigh, do we spend some or do we hoard some? Yeah. The End King says, imagine going into a necromancer town without realizing it. Ooh. Paying for a sandwich with Electrum, and now you've made yourself a target for ghouls later that night. Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe safe passage. There's a small border town. Like, get the idea that there's this weird, creepy town, but the PCs go there and they're like, it's not as creepy as I thought, but everyone knows you better pay with Electrum or else, right? If you pay with Electrum, you come into the front gates and you pay with Electrum, you're fine. Everyone else, you're a target. Yeah, so now things get more complicated. Yeah, get complicated even more. Ghouls make great undead assassins. They eat their target. Yeah, and Enking says, very true. On the other hand, if they don't eat quick enough, the target might become part of their posse. Yeah, yeah. Don't eat him. He's a good friend. And they're like, oh, hands off. He just smells really good. I'm hungry. No, but we're coming to the end here. Yes, tomorrow is Tuesday, so we will diverge off of this slightly with Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, because that's Tuesday's made for that. Yeah, Tuesday, Tuesday, Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. Okay, but we will come back for this Wednesday and Thursday, and there's a video that I'm thinking about broadcasting live. I hope maybe I'll take parts from it. And it talks about like the top 10 things that make the world of John Wick. Like, what are the things that, it's not just the gold coin exchange. There are plenty of other things. The Ant King's like, we're coming to the end. You think you'd be more prepared. I love that. Yeah, we're going to talk about like John Wick, like the style of John Wick, the the over propensity for individuals, especially the good guys in this world, to be more civilized in their violence. Like that's what separates. They even mention it in a movie. It's what separates the animals from the humans. It is, imagine in your world giving great civility and intelligence to your sentient species in your world, where having conversations and going to dinner parties and just having above the table conversations with ghouls and ogres and hill giants and hags and rakshasa in your world. I imagine this kind of like, if we take Dungeons and Dragons, what Sigil, the world of the city in the world of Concordia in the outer planes, the true neutral place, where when you walk around town and you have dealings with people that celestials and fiends would be civil. They might not like each other, but civility dominates everything. And so maybe Electrum pieces are a symbol of that, since I'm relating it back to here. But and we can talk about markers and promissory notes and exchanges like that as well going forward, because in the John Wick movies, markers are like blood oaths. It's literally a physical embodiment of blood oaths. Also in the John Wick universe, and this is something that I thought of, and if you take a look around the John universe, you'll see this. You notice that they use a lot of old technology, because the old technology is very difficult to forge and to duplicate. So uh, pieces of paper that's stamped, gold coins instead of electronic transfers. Like a lot of that is done in a method of like, I'm handing you a physical representation of my trust and honor in you with this coin. Please take it, and that person gets it, rather than someone hacking a bank account or something like that. Mike Marin says in the old well at midnight, are we suggesting that the coins themselves have power or just represent power? Are they cursed magic like the coins in Pirates of the Caribbean? And then N King says, yeah, I mean, any number of those things, all those sound cool. Right. I agree. I was thinking the same thing. Like you're putting a question mark, and I'm going, erase the question mark. Maybe all or some of the above are true. Like, for example, maybe there are real cursed or magical coins at the bottom of the well. And through tradition, these Electrum pieces, the idea of using these Electrum pieces has spread throughout society. And if someone comes upon these Electrum pieces, maybe they go out of their way to get to the well to drop a coin into the well, right? Like that may be a thing. Even adventurers or pirates or your small children find Electrum coin in the dirt, and the families are like, oh, we need to find someone to put this coin in the well, right? Like that may be a thing, and one thing leads to another. And and again, mechanically, this could kind of gate behind the difficulties that the PCs find, right? Like maybe at 1 through 4th level, the Wailing Woman is very dangerous, but they throw a coin in, and now they get higher levels, and maybe the Wailing Woman speaks to them in cryptic riddles or something that allows them to open up a new passageway into your world, or deeper into your world, either literally or figuratively. Um, yeah, there. I agree. Mike says there should be a rhyme associated with the Wailing Woman to activate the Electrum coin to summon her. Which again, what a great way to like um throw in a mechanical feature. Go, fetch quest, get the coins, find the rhyme, which one might be more common than the other, like small children, you know, 1, 2, he's coming for you, 3, 4, he's at the door, right? Freddy Krueger, right? Ish, right? And then the coin, and then maybe as even a gift, maybe the Wailing Woman gives them the coin back as a thank you and goes, use use this coin once and I will come for you, but use it a second time and then I will drag your soul to hell or something like that, right? So maybe the PCs, maybe the coins represent like they are magical in the sense of being able to draw from a number of legends that they can use but only use once. That'd be kind of cool. Like if you speak the coin from your voice, you will wail with the pain and suffering that I do. And so maybe use a coin once and the PC can scream like a banshee, you know. Yeah, Mike says learning the rhyme is its own adventure, and maybe there's like 15 lines, and they only know 6 of them because the kids just repeat the same 6 over and over again. And King says, "Are we making the Wailing Woman canon? We could be." Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You guys are talking. Well, yeah. Yep, could be the one that poisoned farmers' crops. That was a hag. Wailing woman could be a sea hag living in a well. And we can start layering this on and on. Like, what if the Wailing Woman was a hag that was murdered by the population, and then a hag nearby realizes that you excise the spirit of the Wailing Woman. The hag's evil. Let's go back to John Wick, right? These coins are done by an underworld. You hag, yeah, hag, siren, potato, potato, right? And maybe the hag, who's evil, paid in these Electrum pieces, is like, I'm your ally now. Like, you did something for me. Don't worry about my danger from me. I'll let you pass, or here you have the service of the troll or minotaur or something from my children, and we'll go with you to complete a next task or something. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Got to get out of here. Yeah, my friend. Yeah, get out of here, DPJ. You're right. All right. So again, Tuesday we are going to go back into Level Up 5th Edition, and then we're going to go back to John Wick week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably Friday. But yeah, and like I said, maybe we didn't give away too many details today, but we're going to go through all the John Wick movies at some point and talk about like the slickness, the gun fu, and all that kind of business. Maybe we'll see. Leave that for Friday. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I appreciate it, you guys, for being here. Thank you again. Just let you know that coming soon, I will be talking about some projects I'm related to. For example, I'm related to a project for the PIP system. We're going to call it's being called RoboPip for now. I'm also part of the Cool Name Goes Here Kickstarter and part of the consultation and design group. So check that out. I'll probably leave links later on with that, or probably I'll leave it down in a doobly-doo. But anyway, guys, have a great one. I will check you guys later. Mike, leaving something for everybody to think about. Yep. The Electrum Blade. Is it a poison dagger, sword, or guild? Discuss amongst us. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm getting a little verklempt. I'm getting out of here. You guys have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.